Dr. 9 TV.
Teruskan menyokong Dr. 9 TV. Hi, welcome to Borneo Innovation Festival 2020. Myself and my team. So we are from Faculty Creative Technology and Heritage, University Malaysia, Kelantan. So in today's presentation, we are going to present our research and innovation. The title of our innovation is a conceptual framework of social engineering attack and prevention techniques. So what is social engineering? Okay, so what is social engineering? In the context of information security, social engineering is a psychological manipulation of people into performing actions to steal confidential information. So they are using some psychological manipulations, such using the main objective is to steal the information. Okay, it doesn't matter from printed documents or from social media and also from a digital platform. Okay, our innovation emphasizes on the conceptual framework of social engineering attacks and prevention technique is mainly to synthesize from literature on how to explain the phenomenon. So basically the framework will be developed based on the analysis of the previous research and also previous practice, so that we can develop a framework that can fulfill all other limitations of a current framework. In general, this framework the framework defined as a type of attack that are non-technical in nature and involve some type of human interaction. So by having this proposed conceptual framework, we can manage both non-technical and technical issues referred to the social engineering attack, and how we use this framework to prevent the risk to more critical risks through several techniques. Okay, social engineers are interested to get information they can use to carry out actions such as identity theft or stealing password, or in finding out the information. So the attacker trying to make a victim believe that attacker is a technical support or someone in authority. So this is the approach that all the hackers, they are using the social engineering technique. So this kind of technique are very difficult to manage and very difficult to identify. So by right with the proposed the framework, perhaps can help us to manage this type of attack more effective, and does either we are using through prevention technique or recovery technique. So that's why the framework consists of the concept, assumption, expectation, belief, and other theory to support, so that we can come up with the most appropriate framework that can manage these specific types of social engineering attack. Okay, and basically the conceptual framework will be showing like the 5 phases of activity and processes, so that we can follow this framework in order for us to manage and to mitigate the social engineering attack more effective and in a structured manner. Okay, there are 5 phases that consist and include in this framework. So the framework basically have 5 phases. The first one is the attack formulation, whereby we have to analyze the type of attack and what the intention of the attack. And the second phases is about the information gathering. So we try to get all this information so that we can identify the suitable prevention technique or approach that we can try to minimize the risk and impact of this social engineering attack. And the third phase, we are focusing on identify the attack and also the digital evidence, because the uniqueness of our framework is try to integrate 3 characteristics of the approach from the social engineering attack, okay, look into non-technical and technical type of attack, and also the digital evidence, uh, how to gather these digital evidence, and also for the prevention technique on social engineering attack. And the beauty of our framework, we integrate this approach on prevention and the digital evidence records, and we tie it up into a relevant digital law in Malaysia. So, this is basically the framework. This is basically the approach that we are used in the framework. Okay, when we talk about this problem statement, from our study, cybersecurity social engineering attack could cause a serious impact on economic loss, loss of privacy, lawsuit and arbitration, temporary or permanent closure, and loss of goodwill. So the current, basically, from our analysis and from our observation, we have found out that the current framework focus on this issue are very limited. Most of the previous framework that developed by other researcher or that does not integrate a specific social engineering attack prevention technique with the digital evidence law and the risk management perspective comprehensively. So basically, this is the problem statement that we highlight through our literature and from our previous finding before we propose or develop this conceptual framework. So by having this framework, the objective of this framework is try to integrate the multiple prevention techniques and digital evidence laws and risk management perspective as an innovative approach to manage and mitigate cybersecurity social engineering attack. And this framework also try to improve the current practice and limitation managing cybersecurity social engineering risk through the integration of technical and non-technical perspective. So some of the model or the framework, they are only focused on technical approach, but we integrate both technical and non-technical approach. For example, we integrate the evidence law and also the risk management process, so that by having this framework, we can manage better the impact of social engineering attack. Okay, let's go to the scope. So as I mentioned previously, okay, based on our research, we have developed the conceptual framework to handle or to manage this specific social engineering attack, and try to map with this suitable approach how to mitigate and to prevent, okay, the impact, and how the prevention technique that suitable to manage these specific types of social engineering attack. So basically, the framework will be have the 5 phases when we want to use this framework as mitigation tools and try to minimize the impact of social engineering attack. Okay, the first layer that we focus is about the attack formulation. So by having this process, we try to identify the goal and the target identification. Okay, so we have to really understand about the attack formulation. Okay, what are the goal of the attack and what the target. Okay, targets, I mean what data they target and what the goal, the motive of the attack. So by having this understanding, this one, we have to focus to this information before we can do analysis and getting more information. Okay, the first layer in the framework, they are focusing on information gathering. So in the layer information gathering, we need to identify a potential source where the risk is come from, and where are the social engineering attack came from. And also we try to gather information from sources, from source that we understand. And also we try to get in the access, gather information. So identify the potential source and the related information that can use to perform the attack. Okay, the third layer, identify the attack. So in our framework, we have identified there are two types of social engineering attack. We have identified two types of social engineering attack, which is the social engineering attack. They are using the computer and also using these mobile devices. So because now they have a lot of mobile devices out there, and the attack are not only performed through a computer, but they also executed using mobile devices. And the fourth layer, after we gather all the information, we try to identify these based on digital evidence, because this digital evidence we can use on court so that we can to ensure the reliability, consistency, and accuracy of the digital evidence. So there are a lot of technical things that we need to conduct. For example, in the framework that we propose, we are focusing on examining the HTML source provide, and examining the cookies, because when you are using all this information, they're from the file HTML, the cookies, and these collecting information from email header, because this is the thing that we need to collect, and we can compose as digital evidence itself. And the last but not least, the approach. When we identify the nature of the attack, then the framework also suggests what are the appropriate prevention technique to try to minimize the impact and also try to mitigate the impact of social engineering attack. Okay, for example, there we need to identify these the policies, what the action that we need to take action, try to minimize the impact. Okay, like we see in our proposed framework, we need to update the policy, and then we also have to conduct the online content awareness and also the security awareness. Okay, so what the action that we need to take action? Okay, what are the things that we need to do in order to minimize and overcome this problem? Okay, our innovation project, which is the framework, try to understand more about the social engineering attack, or the nature of this social engineering attack for sensitive data in the perspective of technical and non-technical approach. For example, we identify the data that really important to be secure. For example, a credit card details, social security number, username and password, security product in use, operating system, software version, network layout information, IP address, name of the server, website attack vector, and a lot of things that contribute. I mean, the data that need to be protected, because this type of data are really easy to be exposed through a social engineering attack. So we need to secure this type of information, and then through our proposed framework, which is our conceptual framework and prevention technique, we have suggested through the framework itself, we try to educate employee against publishing any identifying personal information online, including phone number, pictures at home, anything that can be used to determine their identity. So because this is the first step whereby the social engineer try to get more information and data from our personal data, because we understood that this personal data is part of the information asset that for us to protect. And through the framework itself, we this is the impact of the framework that we can help to introduce or suggest this prevention technique through several approach. For example, educate people to use a strong password. So this is also include because this is related to how we protect the strong password. And then we also we try to avoid the public profile that anyone can view. So through our framework also, we suggest that the personal profile are not going to be shared to others, because this is the information that we need to protect, and our framework also suggests this process need to be identified and need to be take into consideration. And there are through, so basically this is the outcome of our innovation. So by having this by having this framework, we can identify technical and non-technical method that conducted by social engineering attack or social engineer, okay, to steal information, okay, like our personal identity and so on. And the framework also suggests the prevention technique, how we can manage more effective the social engineering attack. So this is the innovation that we want to propose, and hopefully this innovation can be applied and can be used by others, so that we can try to mitigate and minimize the impact of social engineering attack in the future. And so as a conclusion, the novelty of the framework is try to provide a solution to prevent the social engineering attack based on existing digital evidence law in Malaysia. And this is the uniqueness of our innovation. So by right, the innovation is the framework itself. Okay, by right, the innovation itself is an innovative approach to mitigate a social engineering attack through an integration of technical prevention technique, digital evidence laws, and risk management perspective. So this is the component that we include in our framework. And previously, this innovation already won several, and previously our innovation already won a silver medal in Carnival Research and Innovation, University of Malaysia, Kelantan. So we have a lot of feedback from them. So these are very potential tools and framework that can be applied by others, especially in industry, and the framework also have a potential to be used by others, doesn't matter on industry and the academic institution, so that we can protect our valuable data and our personal identity. As we know, this identity and data is one of the greatest asset that we need to protect, okay, especially from hackers and from the social engineer. So, and okay, our innovation received positive feedback, and from our innovation received positive feedback from industry, such Cybersecurity Malaysia, that they really see this innovation have a potential application towards safeguarding this information, especially from social engineering attack, because this is have some potential for us to develop this framework. Towards the development of the conceptual framework, we have published almost 12 research articles and published work, okay, in various journal and conferences proceeding, such in Zulfikar International Journal of Defense, in International Journal of Computer Science and Network, and we also publish a paper in Journal Intellect, and a few more journal that we publish our findings. So our finding become the fundamental aspect that we apply towards the development of the framework. So the framework itself are developed based on the analysis and published research work. And this is the strong justification that some of the components that we apply into our framework are based from research. The framework also have a potential on future application. For example, the theoretical aspect of the finding has a potential to be explored, and also to be a practical technique that we can use and replicate to apply in other field. And we can see that the uniqueness of the framework will be integrating the social engineering attack, a digital evidence law, and the prevention technique. So I think that's all for our presentation. And thank you very much for listening, and hope the innovation can help the nation try to protect and to prevent the prevent from the social engineering attack, and try to protect the secure information for organization and also the personal data. So secure your data through the framework. And hopefully the innovation can help to prevent more serious social engineering attack and try to minimize the impact of social engineering attack on organization and personnel. Thank you.
Dr. 9 TV.
Teruskan menyokong Dr. 9 TV.
Dr. 9 TV.